There's this moment in the Four Seasons, a quiet, almost unremarkable moment where a husband reaches for connection and his wife rolls over and opens a farming game on her tablet. He's reaching out and she's turning away, but not out of malice, out of habit, out of exhaustion, out of drift. And when I saw that moment, my chest tightened because I see that scene play out every single week in my therapy office. Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy. I'm a clinical psychologist, couples therapist, and host of Dear Dr. Tracy. And today I want to talk about what the Four Seasons gets heartbreakingly right about long-term love and what you need to know if you're feeling that quiet ache of disconnection, the drift. Let me start here. Most relationships don't end in explosion. They erode in silence. One couple I worked with had been together for 16 years, still sharing a bed, still doing the school drop-offs, going to sporting events, still functioning. But they hadn't really talked about themselves, their dreams, their feelings, their desires in well over a year and probably longer. And when I asked when they first noticed something had changed, they looked at each other and said, "I'm not sure. I just feel alone." That's the drift. And it happens when we stop tending to the emotional life of the relationship. So if this is you, don't blame. Don't point fingers. Name the season you're in and say, "We've drifted. Let's find our way back together." When one grows. There's another moment in the series where one partner begins to grow. They start reading, they're expanding emotionally, and the other shuts down and pulls back. It reminded me of a client who started therapy after years of being in the trenches of parenting. For the first time in a long time, she had space to breathe, to feel, to find her own identity again. She said to me, "I'm finally figuring out who I am." And her husband, he panicked. "What's wrong with how things are?" he asked. She wasn't pulling away, but instead she was inviting him in. But here's the thing, growth can feel threatening if we don't talk about it. The way we approach it matters. We can say something like, "Come with me, come sit with me, come try this with me," which feels really different from "you should do this, you should do that." And this is why couples grow apart, not because one changes, but because one stops sharing what they need and why it matters. The invisible load. Let's talk about resentment. There's a moment in the series when Kate plans a funeral, every detail, and her husband says, "But I handled it." I've worked with countless women who say, "If I don't plan the birthday party, it won't happen." And their partner says, "Well, you didn't ask me," or "Your expectations are too high," or "It's not clear what you wanted." These are unspoken systems, and the common one for couples is the over-functioning and under-functioning dynamic. The longer this cycle goes unnamed, the deeper the resentment grows. One woman told me, "I don't want to be the manager. I just don't trust that he'll actually follow through." And her husband, he would say, "I feel like I'm always failing her standards." And this was Kate and Jack's dynamic. But the thing is, nobody wins in this dynamic and nobody actually chooses it. So it's important to start noticing when you're in that over-functioning, under-functioning dynamic and find a way to change it. Sometimes changing this dynamic means identifying things you're willing to let go of and to let your partner step into the space of doing the things that you are so easily doing but end up carrying a lot. The avoidant partner. And then there's this line, Deep in the Woods, from Danny. He says, "You don't give me space to feel what I'm feeling. You just want me to be happy." That one hit hard. Avoidant partners aren't cold, they're cautious. And when their pain doesn't feel welcomed, they hide it, or they end up lashing out in other ways. A client once told me, every time I shared how I feel, she asked, "Well, what do you want me to do with it?" So I stopped sharing. And his wife, she wasn't trying to silence him. She just didn't know how to hold space for him because of her own anxiety. Here's the thing, we all want to be seen. But in order to be seen, we first need to feel safe, like our partner's not going to jump into problem solving. So if you're feeling the drift, if you're holding the load, if you're asking for connection and it feels like no one's listening, you are not alone and you are not broken. Love doesn't stay alive by default. It needs attention. It needs repair. It needs intention. And this is one of the reasons why I loved the Four Seasons. It's not that we were watching couples in the honeymoon season. This wasn't a rom-com, but instead a real depiction of what couples experience when they're in long-term relationships. Let me know what you think about the season. Let me know what you think about the video. What would you add? What stood out for you from watching the Four Seasons? Don't forget to subscribe, click like, and I will see you in the next video.